Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to our second podcast with any luck. First one still is not up. It's been a couple weeks, but I'm working on it.
It won't seem like that to someone listening to it, or maybe it will. I don't know.
Who knows? I'm just providing backstory that you didn't need.
So this is the Pigeon Verite Podcast where we talk about what we want to talk about.
Yes, as opposed to the things we don't want to talk about.
Sometimes you make me talk. Oh, that sounds bad.
Yeah? It does. Don't say that. All right, let's just jump into our topic and get past all of that nonsense.
Aren't you also cutting them up? So isn't this like the fourth podcast or something?
Well, it's one podcast, but it's multiple videos.
Got it. I don't know what's going on.
Excellent. So we're going to talk about John Wick. And we're going to just talk about spoilers, right?
I don't want to give a review of John Wick, as I have stated to you.
Yeah.
I think it would be tantamount to me giving a review of wine. It tastes like liquid. John Wick is an action film. 3 of them.
Right, but aren't we going to talk about things in John Wick?
Yes, so I'm just saying.
Yes.
We may want to go straight. I mean, here's my opinion on whether or not you should see the John Wick films. I mean, I don't know.
This is not a review of John Wick. We're not exactly doing reviews for this one. We're just discussing the John Wick franchise since it's in the news right now. Also, hi Rez, I hope you're watching this.
Well, John Wick films are about the action. So if we really wanted to do good reviews, we would talk about the action.
We bring in Rez.
I don't want to talk about the action at all, so I'm going to talk about things in John Wick that no one wants to hear anyone talk about. So, there we go.
Go for it. You know what, after that intro, you get to start it, because it sounds great.
Okay, so we're going into spoilers.
Spoilers.
I mean,
1, 2, 3, spoiled.
So we watch our favorite action hero of the 90s, right? Keanu Reeves. You know, I liked him in Speed. He was in Matrix. Those are 2 big action films of the 90s.
That's true. Because I think of him as being, like, decade spanning, but...
He's some kind of ex-gangster assassin in a world-spanning conglomerate network of assassins that must be doing something for someone. Someone's benefiting from this somehow. And in the first John Wick, he's seems to have retired, but then his wife dies of cancer, and bad guys kill his puppy and take his car. We only know his wife dies of cancer through dialogue because we don't see her. I think we go to the funeral or something. No, we see I was just watching.
We get a montage.
Anyway, and so he needs to get his puppy and his car back, right? So we watch John Wick.
Well, no, his puppy's dead.
Oh, right.
He needs to kill the man who killed
his puppy. Right.
Because his puppy symbolizes hope.
I'm glad we got this clear. So then the other 2 movies are about him being forced back into the life of the assassin guy.
Yes, of the assassin guy, the assassin world.
Now that I've made this very clear to anyone who's listening, what I want to talk about is just how miserable the second and third movie are. Because
Not miserable bad, necessarily.
Well, kind of, because, I don't care. Like, my review of these films is that none of them made me feel anything. I like seeing Keanu Reeves. It's all fine. You know, I get a little tired of seeing people shot in the head. Whatever. But so you have the first film, and it's like, you know, he's gotten himself out of the life, but, you know, they piss him off, and so we're like, yeah, you get him. Go get him.
Yes.
The second movie, it's like, oh, we're going to make you do a thing.
Well, he owes a debt. He has a marker, which is this thing where you take blood from your finger and put it on a thing.
Right. But what's that? Just break it down here. He has to do a thing.
He has to do a thing.
He's forced to do a thing.
He has to obey the rules.
Right.
Which comes into play in the third movie.
Which is all we want is to watch assassins obey the rules. Got it. So we watch him obey the rules, and this upsets him so much that he then breaks the rules at the end of the second movie.
Yes. To get back at the guy who made him obey the rules.
Right.
So he's sort of forced back into it.
And then he does one thing that forces him even further back into it.
Yes.
And then in the third movie, he's dealing with the fact that he broke the rules and now he's forced back into the world.
Because now people want to kill him because money.
So, for the past 2 movies, he's had no agency. Not much. So you can kind of be like, well, I still like him even though he kills people because he doesn't want to kill people. But in the third movie, I am just like, I'm a little like, well, why live? Like, why?
Because a lot of the third movie is about, like, why John Wick wants to live, but why does he want to live?
And there was definitely 3/4 of the way in, I'm like, it would just be easier to die. Like, this is exhausting. Like, I'm tired. I feel bad for him. Like, this is...
Well, and the reason is he wants to remember the love of his life.
But he betrayed, like... In the second movie, he kind of betrayed... And none of this matters, because we're here to watch him fight the guys from the raid.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's probably the parts I enjoyed the most were, like, the hand-to-hand combat, or in the third one, there's the fight with the dogs.
Yeah.
Halle Berry has the dogs, like, yeah.
She's only in it for that one scene. It's very odd. They made such a hubbub about her.
I don't know, it was a
long scene, but it was only...
the movie.
But it was only one section of the... Anyways.
So anyway, so that's just what I find towards the third movie myself starting to see the point at which death might be preferable.
Well, like, I'm watching the movies, and so the first one he has all the agency because he makes the choice to kill the man who killed his dog.
We are rooting for him.
He only sort of loses agency toward the end of the movie when he exacts his revenge, but then the father of the man he murdered now has to kill him, but he has to kill the father. I don't know. It gets a little whatever in there. In the second movie, he actually has agency that whole movie because it's just he's forced back into it. He does what he has to do. Then he decides to go kill the man who made him do it. So I think in the second movie, he still has agency. He's just been sort of forced into using his agency.
He does not want to assassinate that lady.
Yes. And
Given a real choice... He would not assassinate that lady.
Right.
And he kind of doesn't even really assassinate her, but that's okay.
Right, but then after that, he has agency again. Sort of. Because he chooses to kill the other guy who made him do it.
It's like watching someone do a job they don't want to do. And I don't find that riveting.
Well...
I like seeing Keanu Reeves run like a lumbering bear and hit people. So, I mean, I'm still in it, but it's just like...
He loses agency, and also in the third movie, he has agency for the very end section where he's at the Continental, defending the Continental. That's when he has his agency.
In the third movie?
Yeah. But, like, you're right, for the rest of that movie, and even in the second movie, he technically has agency, but it feels like he has to kill the other guy.
Nothing, I'm like, the first movie I'm rooting for him to get revenge, the third movie I'm kind of rooting for him to, like maybe you'll feel better dead. Maybe...
Maybe just die.
Like, the dog seems pretty happy with the guy from The Wire. Everybody's gonna...
Lance Reddick?
Everyone's gonna screw him over. Like, what's the point, really? I started getting a little nihilistic towards the end of John Wick 3. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, I get that. So, here's my thing. I watched the first John Wick... just with Jill, I forget, but I watched the first one, and then I decided to rewatch it, and I rewatched it with my girlfriend, and then we watched the second one and went to see the third one, kind of just because it was so big, and it was like, I wanted to give the first one another chance, and I did, and the guy's name is Lance Reddick, so there, and so I gave it another chance.
And he's been in a lot more than The Wire, but...
Yeah, but I wanted to give it another chance because... I was like, I sort of enjoyed it the first time I watched it, but it was just like, it just isn't for me because there's no story.
Yeah.
There's no story. The story in John Wick is the action, and you can do story as action.
No one cares that we're reviewing the story of...
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I'm not that into it. But then the second time I watched it, I'm like, you know what? Just don't pay attention to the story. Pay vague attention to the super thin plot that exists. Like, the plot is so structural, and there's just nothing about it that has anything to do with anything other than it's just a completely structural thing of, like, he killed this guy, now he has to go here to kill that guy to get that guy to do it.
Yeah, and I do kind of like John Wick for constantly moving.
Yeah. Like,
you're constantly going to new locations. The lighting is kind of neonish and dark and weird and fun, and I like the music.
Yeah.
I actually like the music in John Wick.
I think I liked all the action because in the second one in particular, I liked the action all felt fairly smooth, and at some point it gets convoluted, and it's these guys. I don't know. It's just like there's just nothing.
Thinking? So everybody's like, the Pokemon movie has made more than any other video game movie before.
Yeah.
John Wick is more of a video game movie than the Pokemon movie because it's just like, you've just got those endless thugs showing up, and you're like, and you don't know who they are, and they just get shot in the head and they're gone. It's like he goes to different levels. Like, there's the knife fighting level, and then there's the level in Russia, and then he's in the level in the desert, and then he's in this level.
Well, with the second and third movie,
with cutscenes in between.
My big point, my only real point about this, because again, I'm just watching them for the action, and I didn't like the third one as much because there's multiple times where John Wick should have died, but he doesn't because the raid guys decide they want to play around with him, and it's like, that's dumb, but whatever. The fight between them is fun, I guess. But my big point is like, so the MCU, one of the reasons the MCU works is because they treat it like a TV show, I think. And so you're sort of building on episodes that way. Mm-hmm. And I think John Wick was like, oh, we should do that. And so after the first one, because it was successful, the second one is essentially like the second episode of the movie because it doesn't have an ending. Like, it ends, but then it's just a prelude to the next movie.
I think the first one has an ending.
The first one actually basically ends.
Yeah.
And then the third one starts, it begins with the premise of the end of the second one. The premise follows over. And then in the end of it, it's setting up the fourth movie. Like, it's just, these are just episode opens, cliffhanger. Yeah. And it's like, it's just a TV show. And I'm down for the TV show, I think. It's not something where I'm, like, gonna run out. So, like, if everybody tells me it's terrible, I'll probably just wait for, like, streaming. But people liked the third one, so I was like, all right, I'll give it a chance. And you know what? I'm okay for that TV show. It's more fun than, like, I've been watching some of that on the Jack Ryan. I've been watching some of Jack Ryan.
John Krasinski?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That guy. I forgot his last name too. And it's like, it's fun, but it's just even lighter and less full of things. And it's shorter.
Full of things, you mean like plot or action? Okay.
There's more plot and story to it, but
less
it's
action.
It's so basic. In a way, I like John Wick because most of its story is in service of world building. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there's no like real through line of story, like it's just a very simple plot, and it's like we're getting from point A to B. Like, I like that it's just world building because I kind of enjoy world building just as an abstract thing, and I like that it is just action and action and action. So like I'm down for that, and it's on a big screen and it's fun and it's that. Whereas Jack Ryan, it's like it's just too much like everything else. Yeah. Like John Wick might be like other action movies. I don't know all the action movies because that's not my genre. But like it feels like it's better than other action movies I've seen.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's not egregiously stupid.
No, again, mostly except for some of the stuff in the second one, in the third one.
Mostly it just goes from action sequence act. I mean, I'd see the fourth one just for fun. I don't care that much.
I think I want to see the fourth one because again, I like the action scenes. I want to see like they do the.
I'm curious where they're taking it and how far out they have it planned, or is this going to be like a television show where you start to suspect that they don't actually have a plan? They're just, as long as the next season gets funded, they keep doing it, and one day it'll just end because they won't. Because they're running out of money, they stop making money. They won't be popular enough,
Yeah, I'm mostly like, I'll stop watching either when it runs out of money and they stop, or when they start doing all the same tricks. Like, they've done that trick with, like, knife over somebody, hit it with the other hand, kill them. Yeah. Like, as long as they keep things fresh, like, there was the sword fight, and then he had the belt in the third one, and that was neat, and then there were the dogs, and then there was, they weaponized horses, which somebody else said, some reviewer said, and I liked that they weaponized horses in this one. So, like, they're still keeping it creative. Yeah. Once they stop being creative with the action, then I'm probably done.
Yeah.
She took a little yarn thing from you.
It's fine. That's all I have to say about the John Wick franchise.
That's all I got, too. It's a TV show. I'll watch some of the other episodes.
I'm glad Keanu Reeves is still
Keanu Reeves, he really puts in the work.
Yeah.